Welcome to the Journey 2020. I'm Charles Morris, coming off the weekend, finishing up with the Olympics. I don't know how many of you watched the Olympics, and I know that growing up, the Olympics was like a really big thing that the family would sit around and watch, and so it was, pulling for the old USA, and uh, I have many memories of a lot of people watching over the years. Uh, Everybody remember FloJo, of course, but this I'm talking about before FloJo, and I brought it to somebody's attention. Um, anyway, I'm Charles Morris. This is the Journey 2020, where we've been coming to you for since over 10 years now. We started back in 2013 with Dr. John Robinson, clinical psychologist here in the area, and I was just talking to him last week, and I'm trying to get him to come on and finish up a show, do a part two. But I was telling him about some things that I really want to talk about and finish up, and in relation to people who are don't know that they have these narcissist type of mentality and what that means, and it's kind of strange now that I'm older and I'm able to recognize it's really strange when you run into that, but that's a different show. But anyway, again, this is the Journey 2020 talking about the Olympics. I brought it to somebody's attention, and I don't know how many of you remember this, so I'm showing my age right now. If you go back until like 1972, and back then, um, they didn't allow professional athletes to participate in the Olympics, like the basketball and all this other stuff. So they always played with college players. And I remember them putting time back on the clock. The USA was playing Russia. And I remember the center, I don't forget his name. His son now plays for Sacramento, but he was a really good player, 7'2". He eventually came and played in the NBA, and he at, really was a really good player, very dominant player. And they put some time back on the clock, and uh, the USA lost. That was like a really big deal that they lost to Russia in basketball. So, because they felt that Russia and the officials cheated, that the silver medals that the USA won is in a vault somewhere from 1972. And the person that I remember on that team more than anybody, and I know a lot of people have no idea the name that I'm going to call, all right, was Doug Collins. If you remember, Doug Collins played along with Dr. J in the Philadelphia 76ers, and he also coached Michael Jordan in Chicago, and he also coached Michael Jordan in Washington. But Doug Collins played on that team as well. There's a few other big college players that played on that team in 1972 that lost to Russia. And so, if anybody know anything about basketball back in those days, and even now, that game that even now the U.S. played Russia. I mean, not Russia, but France, both men and women, for the goal, and it was a good game. The women's game was like down to the wire, um, and I don't want to talk about the men 4x100. That right there alone is like, okay, so what happened? So it's like Pookie went over and asked Leroy and KK if they knew somebody that can come and just run for a minute. Hey, y'all got anything to do? Can y'all come over here for a minute? We're gonna run a little relay for a gold medal. Uh, if y'all don't have nothing to do, that's exactly what it looked like. And you think I'm making it up, right? And they have lost this race for the last 20 plus years for stuff just like that. Now, I have no answer for that. I've seen the women do that, like once in the Olympics. I have seen them, but not like that, right? I've seen the women drop the baton. That's different than what they did, okay? But we're not going to talk about that. But America did have a great deal of. You know what? I'm sorry. I got a guest waiting. Let me bring in Miss Miss Perkins, who been sitting here waiting patiently. So let me bring her in so we can have a little bit of chit chat about this. Well, hello, Miss Perkins. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Did you see any of the Olympics?
I did actually saw quite a bit, and I was listening to you. Yes, that men 4x100 was unfortunate. They got disqualified, as you know,
Wait a
but
minute.
the
Wait a minute.
women
Wait a minute.
represented.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Why are you being so kind?
Well, I mean that's the technical term, but actually, I feel kind of bad because you have four people on a team, and it took one or two people, if you will, to mess it up. But you have these other people who spent years getting ready for this moment, and it's lost. But the women represented, so hey, power to the women. They won both the 4x100s and the 4x400s. That was a world record. And then the men did win the 4x400s. But yeah, I just think about the dedication, the commitment, and when you have someone else who impact your journey, your opportunity, I think that's tough. And even if you're the person who messed up, if you have a consciousness, you probably feel bad that you kind of messed up someone else's opportunity to win gold or medal or something. So yeah. So I guess
You,
on to LA. Maybe on a home court, they'll do better in their hometown. I
you
mean, in their
know.
home country.
That's a. Uh, I'm going to bring up that topic because I'm trying to get Youth Central Sports back with Vince Carter, and I'm going to bring up that topic. I'm going to bring up that topic, and the topic that, and we really don't have an answer because it's an individual thing. But I wonder, what is it like, and how do you handle? Because one of the things that you do learn now from playing team sports, because I have messed up and have lost games playing basketball. I've been part of because like I was in like 12th grade, time was out. I mean, um, there was no time left on the clock. I took a charge. We were down by one, and I could have tied it with a free throw, but I missed it, so we lost. Um, and that was the only time really that I was really responsible because I missed, because I missed the free throw. But
Mhm.
overall, and this is different now. This is different. So my question that I would love to talk about, what would it be like, or how do you deal with the fact that you spent this moment and this time training and training and training and training, and someone makes such a mental error, and how do you
Mhm.
process and deal with that? You know,
Yeah.
um, I don't know. I know I've seen looks in the locker room.
Mhm.
Like when I missed that free throw, I've seen the looks in the locker room. I'm serious. What's up, man? you know.
Yeah.
Um, but overall, I just wonder, like, what do you? Because that has happened a lot with them. That's not the first time they have done, and it was so bad because when I've seen the women do it, it was a hand to. I mean, it was handing off to the baton, and they dropped it versus whatever that was. I have no idea. It was bad. So I just so let's leave the bad stuff alone. Let's talk about and then the situation where um the girl lost the bronze, won the bronze, now lost the bronze. The gymnast.
Yeah.
I mean the
Yeah.
gymnast.
In gymnastics, Jordan
Right,
Childs.
right.
Yes.
And that situation. So I have no idea what to do with that as well. Um, I
It's an
mean,
emotional roller coaster, that's for sure. That's
well,
for sure.
yeah, yeah.
And even the men's basketball teams were really close. Even like when they had the before the Olympics, they played South Sudan, and almost lost to that. And then Serbia, I think they were down like by 17 points and rallied
Well,
back. It's,
well, as I was saying, their center has won MVP, so that he's one of the top players in the world, and
mhm,
the whole entire NBA has issues and problems with him because he just he just know how
okay,
to handle this business. But they did pull it out. The
right.
women, um, the person who tried to tie it up, she actually made the shot, but her foot was on the line. So
On the
instead of it
line.
instead of it being a three, it was a two. Overall, the Olympics was great. I love watching the Olympics, and I like what they did. I don't know if you noticed this, but you know what they did? What they did was they broke it up. So now we see the Olympics every two years now versus waiting every 4 years.
Right, because the Winter Olympics would be in 2026, I guess, and
Right,
then Summer Olympics in 2028, which I think is kind of cool, actually.
right, yeah.
So you have something to look forward to, and they're such big productions. I was just going to say, just quickly, too, back to the track. The other big meet is the 100, the fastest man and the fastest woman, right, in the world.
Oh
And you
yeah,
had Noah, who he's kind of a big brash talker, but he won by photo finish right over the Jamaican guy, and then but his expert field was the 200. But then what happened? He got bronze in the 200 because he had COVID, and
right.
so that's another thing. And then he pulled out of the, I guess, the 4x100, which of course would have made sense to have him in it, but it just that's another thing you can't control. I mean, like your health, you can have health issues, right? And again, you train for all of that time, and then knock knock, who's there? COVID, you know. And what I thought was interesting that they were able to still compete even with COVID. So I would have thought that may have, some just from a health perspective, they would have
Well,
quarantined someone like
I
that and
think
not allowed them to compete.
I think now that we look at COVID differently, even though still a lot
Yeah,
of people dying from COVID, we don't really talk about it, but there's still a lot of people dying from COVID.
right,
But I
right.
think I think because we now have it a little bit under control, um, more so under control. But
But
it's
I'm just saying to him, he was, who would have guessed he won, quote, the 100, but not the 200. And then the expectations that are placed on their shoulders, just like, Simone Biles came back and had her, what is it? I can't think of the term where she wanted to kind of reprove herself, if you will. It'll come to me like a comeback type thing. But Shakari Richards, it's another, she was the expected favorite for the women's 100, but that St. Lucia girl was bad. I think she was 16 and she won, and Shikari, I think, got silver. And this is, to me, can be part of your show. We have this value system that like, a silver is not good. Like, okay, I'm number two in the world versus I'm number one. Some people, of course, are very happy to like get a bronze, but then you have somehow, if you're the favorite and you don't win the gold, it's like you're that wasn't good. And
yeah,
it's
that's
just, I
our
think
culture.
that's kind of
That's our
hmm?
culture. That's
Right,
that's
and
our
which you
joint.
share. But she did finally get her gold in the 4 by 100.
Right.
So it's just, I think I'm not that type of athlete. I've been an athlete, but not certainly on any type of scale like that. But just getting older, you get to the point of let me just give it my best and do my best. But the weight of the world of your country on these athletes is really, really pretty, strong.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of things that goes on when it comes to sports in our culture, um, and that is this right here. It causes a lot of issues and problems. I get it because as an athlete, there's a transition that had to take place once I reached a certain age and was not able to be that person that I identified myself with. I was no longer that person. That's a hard pill to swallow. Trust me, it is
Hmm.
hard. When you grow up in the circle that I did, And we'll get on why I actually asked you to come on today. But I'll say this right to people, and it's funny because my circle, I say to them, I said, people that I grew up with, and we laugh now because we're old. I said, people don't know that we grew up as athletes. They know nothing about that. They don't see us that way. Um, and we all laugh about it because it's father time is father time, and life is what it is. And so that was so much part of your identity growing up. And so when you live in that world, and I remember um, when Michael Jordan won the championship at North Carolina, um, there was a young guy by the name of Sleepy Floyd that played for Georgetown. North,
Right.
Cal- North Carolina played Georgetown for the championship when Michael Jordan was a freshman. Really good game. And anybody who really want to see a good college game for the national championship, go back and Google that game. Michael Jordan as a freshman. You'll see Patrick Ewing. You'll see John Thompson, the legendary coach at Georgetown, in his towel and everything. And that was at the height of when Georgetown uh, was Georgetown. You know, the Hoyas, and they was Hoya paranoia. You know, and they were some bad boys. And so North Carolina was up by one. It was a little over 2 minutes to go. And right at about a minute or so mark, Michael Jordan hit a jump shot from the baseline. Georgetown took the ball out, headed back down court, and I was sitting there going, "Where's Sleepy? I know Sleepy. Come on, Sleepy. I know they looking for you. I know they. Come on, Sleepy. Come on, because I was a big Georgetown fan. And I'm looking, and I'm like, come on, Sleepy. And the next thing I know, a player by the name of Freddie Brown had the ball out front, and he faked like this right here, and he threw it right to James Worthy. I mean, threw it directly to him.
Wow.
And so back then, I'm looking, right? And when he threw that ball to James Worthy, and I know James Worthy was like, oh, he James Worthy was probably more shocked than anybody. And he ran back down court, and they had called when the game was over. I saw John Thompson give Freddie Brown a hug. He hugged him. He hugged him. He hugged him. Now, where I was at that moment, at that time in my life, as God is my witness, I'm like, if I had a baseball bat, I'll break both his knees. I'll break both his knees right now. But I had to grow and mature and
Mm.
understood why it was so important for Coach Thompson to embrace him and then hug him and to encourage him. But back then, oh, I wanted to break his knees because I was that athlete. You know what I'm saying? Back then. And so as I matured, I still, as a coach, you still want to choke him, but you have to encourage him.
Yes.
Right. You still have to embrace him because that's just part of life. And whatever that mental breakdown was, and of course, um, 2 years later they came back and won a championship, and he was on that team, and
Mm.
he said something kind of smart in a sense of, yeah, we won, and John Thompson still reminded, yeah, but you still screwed up 2 years ago. So don't get so seriously. He said, don't get so cocky, because in reality, they probably should have had two. But anyway, that was my story in the sense of athletes, and I still haven't seen that race of the 100 women. I still haven't seen it, so I got to Google it.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah, I still haven't seen it, but I love diving, and I've never seen so many people fall on their face doing the hurdles. I mean, so many people just bam. I'm like, wow. I saw at least maybe 6 people fall running the race, running the hurdles, both men and women.
Yeah.
It's just like
Yeah.
what the what, you know?
Even some of the cyclists too, those cyclists, they be
Right.
falling. It was raining a little bit, a little slick out there.
Yeah,
So,
and then I did
yeah.
see, I think two people pulled up because of their hamstring. I think running the race, I
Mm.
did see at least two of them. And imagine that you training, and then you can't finish the race because all of a sudden, for whatever reason, I don't know, you've been eating too much pork. I don't know what the deal is with that. But anyway, I don't know what that is. I don't
Blame it
know.
on the pork.
Yeah, yeah, I'm serious. Whatever that is. But the reason why I wanted to ask you to come on because your summer is over. Today was the first day of school, and so what is it like for yourself to get into the mode of however you do what you do to go and well, first of all, you got to tell us about Workforce Advantage Academy because it's a special school.
Yeah, we special. Uh, Workforce Advantage Academy is a charter school in Orlando, and we are under the Orange County Public School System. Been around for about 21 years now, and we were actually the third charter school created in Orlando, or in the, I guess, Orlando area. So our school was created, and it's the name Workforce. Our founder, Ken Hart, wanted to tap into this group of individuals who may have struggled in some of the traditional OCPS schools and wanted to provide a smaller classroom environment, more competency based, and to help these students who were not necessarily your highest achievers, but people very capable, but sometimes due to circumstances or environmental circumstances, not able to thrive. So our school encompasses students from all across Orange County. We have, about 250 students, only 11th and 12th graders, and they go to with a component of really work and go to school. So ideally, if all of our students work, which that is the goal, they may go to school Monday, go to work Tuesday, go to school Wednesday, go to work Thursday, and then we actually have half the students on campus one day while the others are at work, and then the other, it flips. And so, a wonderful model. We recently had the Secretary of Education come down from Florida to really check out our school. We teach them life skills. So, like this week, and I'm going to today was day one. We do what's called a business conference, and we're focusing on getting their resumes together, teaching them interview skills, how to dress for success, how to manage their money, how to do customer service and communication. So we really do. We provide the traditional courses, but we also focus on life skills to help them get ready for once they walk across that stage after 12th grade. They have some skills, they have some work experience, and many of them, go on to do very well. So it's a very unique school. It's a small staff, but we really do great work, and we have it's labeled, if you will, as an alternative school, but it's just we have. I would say the majority of our students there are really there for the right reason. They just have some struggles, through maybe going to the traditional high schools, and actually a lot of the students we have now were freshmen or sophomores during COVID, so that really interrupted a lot of people's schooling, and it's really just it's an awesome mission that we have.
um, and I want to ask you for yourself, right? So you've been, what is it like for a teacher? Well, where you had your summer and you got to get back into the the frame of getting up, dealing. I say dealing because I know what you deal with. Going back, getting back into the swing of things. Let me.
A routine. Yes.
Yeah.
So today, you know, first of all, I live pretty close to the school. So I actually spent maybe about 15 days up there over the summer getting my classroom organized. I'm a little probably analytical at times. So I have taught 10 different topics. So I've been there 9 years. I went through 9 years of files over the summer, and organized all my lesson plans in all of my 9 classes. So not only did I create the notes, I made sure I had assignments and catalog them in the files. So I said, when I come back, I'm ready. I don't have to write lesson plans for the year. They are done. Well, I found out one of my classes we're not doing. So I end up getting like a new class. I'm going to be tutoring and help students get ready for their state ELA test, English Language Arts. But so I was like, I'm ready. Well, I went out of town this past weekend. It's down in, drove up to Atlanta for mom's birthday, special birthday. And I think driving back last night, I was
Mm-hmm.
just like, okay, I need to
Mm-hmm.
go home and like get ready for school and go to sleep because I need to get up at 5 something in the morning because we had to be there before 7 a.m. this morning to set up for this orientation. And I could not get to sleep before midnight. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but a part of me, I'm like, I'm ready for it because I think 2 months is really enough time. If it goes longer than 2 months, I think it's harder to come back. But part of me is still in denial that I'm about to start this journey for this new school year. Even though, like I said, I was ready, and I was. Today was about an 11-hour day. It was a long day, but it was a good day. And you see some of the returning students, but then we have new students as well. And so, day one of the journey, it's like only 9 more months to go.
Oh, wow.
No, no, I'm serious. Actually, I felt good, but it's the getting back on schedule because I'm in the summertime I do not get up at 5:30. So just that discipline and actually yesterday when I got in from Atlanta, I was like, okay, let me lay out my clothes for the week. And then I prepare my lunches for the week, just kind of to try to get back into my routine. And so, I'm going to give myself this week. But it was it was a good day. It was a good day.
Oh, yeah. All right, cool. So I know for myself, and I'm thinking, um, what, from your experience of you going into your 10th year, for the kids coming off of the summer, how long does it take that you can tell that they're out of the summer mode and now back into the swing of things when it comes to going back to school? I can't wait to go back to school. I can't wait to see Miss Perkins. I can't wait for this homework. Yeah, but go ahead.
It's I am I, I shouldn't admit this, but I'm really horrible with names. So I know faces and I see them, and I'm not ashamed just to like tell me your name because I don't want to try to sit and guess. But some of them, it's like the first day when you're little kids. They were on early. They got school starts at 8. They got there 7:30. They were actually helping us set up some things. In nice little kind of new clothes, if you will. You have a little new book bag. But then we had some that were a little tired, so they were sleeping a little bit. I said, oh, I had to tell a student, go in the restroom, put some splash some water on your face, because they were up late. Another student told me she was up to midnight and got up at 5. So they have to get into their routine, and I think it was a challenge for many of them. But the biggest thing is, as we've had a conversation before, is those darn phones. And so this, OCPS, have a policy, no phones, and now they have some other stricter policies regarding attendance, truancy and other things. But we have now these cell phone cases in our rooms. Little like think about little um, jury box lockers, and you can put your phone in and lock it. So when the students come in, they put their phone in there, lock it, and keep the key. I don't have to touch it. I love it. I didn't have any issues with that today. I think out of all the students that came back, it was only one student who was a returning student who would not give up his phone for another teacher. And then, he got sent to admin. So, and it's unfortunate because that student should have graduated last year and he did. And it's like, okay, you want to start off this way that you won't even give up your phone. You're willing to, get sent home. But it's still way too early, Charles. It's day one, but we it's the first month is the hardest to me because one, I'm trying to learn names. I'm trying to understand their needs so I can assess. We give them practice math and reading tests to try to, understand their assessment, what reading level or math level they're on. But, learning their personalities. We had two young ladies who were like this last year. You could not separate them. Well, they came back this year on opposite sides of the room in the gallery and found out like they don't even talk to each other anymore, and we have to like put them on different days now because they just do not care for each other. And I don't know what happened over the summer,
I bet you.
but
I bet you was over a guy. No, no, just kidding.
you're probably right. Maybe I need to verify that. I wanted to ask, but I said I won't get in their business. But so you got to work through that because these kids come from Jones and Evans and Boone and Winter Park and Colonial and all of these schools, but it's always somebody has some beef with someone. So one good thing not having these phones out, at least they can't be texting each other on social media. But it's this first month because I have to assess as an educator, how do I help my student be successful? And that takes a few weeks to sit down. I have 12 classes. So I have, I potentially can have 200 students in those 12 classes. And that's all I've kind of focused on. Let me talk to every student individually. Let me try to get an assessment. And, when I give them work and I give them writing, I trying to just, when I grade their work, trying to figure some things out. So that's to me the most critical part this first month. And not only getting to know them and understand their needs, but letting them get to know me and understand how I can help them and certainly trust me to let me in so that I can hopefully help them because many of them have struggled in the traditional schools. Some of have been out of school. And so, let me go back. Do you remember the young lady when you were there last year and she blessed out one of our administrators?
Oh, I remember it very well. Yeah, yeah.
Well, she showed up today.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, they let her come back. And
Mm.
I guess they're trying to get her out in December. But, and I believe in grace and forgiveness. I truly do, believe me. However, I thought that was really kind for them to let her come back. And I'm sure she's, had the talk where, okay, you step out of line, you know, grace is going to be, overturned because she really acted out so badly. So they have some students. I was told as another young man had 12 pages of disciplinary issues. And I said, so why did you guys let him go?
Yeah, really. So why?
I did ask that question. I was told because it was like his freshman, sophomore year, and that he's really turned the corner. Like this was, so he's a little bit, 16 or 17 now, I guess. And he got really focused and, like he's grown and developed. But I said, okay, well, if we're having problems, please just nip it in the bud early, but 12 pages of disciplinary issues. And I was really surprised. But I will say our administration do have a heart for, wanting to serve. And so do I. I wouldn't be doing what I was doing. But, sometimes I think, can we help everyone? I
Well,
don't know.
I don't know if that school is equipped to deal with Damien. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
With Damien, it'd be like, no, mm, mm, mm,
I know.
you know,
And you
and,
talking to Damien, but we're talking about that spirit, right?
right, yeah, yeah. So what I'm saying is to be like, I think it should be mandatory for your school, in each class have some holy water. Yep, and you need to be able
Amen and hallelujah.
be able to sprinkle it.
No,
Be
actually,
like,
maybe I need
come here, come here. Let me put the oil on you. Come here. No, some oil.
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 Yeah, maybe I need to put that on my wish list for supplies. But no, but I will tell you what, this year I'm coming in with a different mindset. I've always been for the students, always, and I'm still am. But I'm also, I don't want, let me say, I've asked that if we have these really difficult students who are not respectful, don't listen to authority, want to feel like they can curse you out. And again, this is a small percentage. My question is, why are we keeping them all year and add that stress onto us? Because some people may have some mental health issues. So let me go there. But we're not always equipped to handle everyone.
well, that was my point. I mean, I was making a joke about it, but that was really my point. I was when I was talking about Damien. My whole point of it is that a lot of times, under circumstances and situations, this child may need help. Are you equipped? You don't like. Okay, I'm not saying to turn your back on Damien. I'm saying put Damien in the right situation to help him because of whatever his needs may be. I don't think a lot of times certain places are equipped to deal with the necessary needs that that child, uh, needs. So I can say it like that, but this is what I mean. Are you equipped? And not, I'm just asking in general. When things surface and there's constant, um, where you're seeing that this child is being consistent in the behavior. So, in general, you have to ask yourself, are we equipped to deal with this? And I know that you probably don't remember me saying this, but when I featured the JAC, the Juvenile Assessment Center, and when I talked with them, because I featured them on several occasions when I had my TV show, and the one thing that I did notice about the JAC, the Juvenile Assessment Center, they had a program that dealt with 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 a program. Because when they send it to this program and it didn't work, they followed up with another program and it didn't work, so it went over to this program that didn't work. So they're trying to
Mhm.
find the right program to fit this child's need for whatever reason, mentally, emotionally, whatever it is, whether or not you truly need some holy water, whatever it is. But that was one thing about the Jack. The Jack was like, nope, well, doesn't fit over here. Nope, doesn't fit over here. Nope, doesn't fit over here. Nope. But they have the resources, because it's a state-run program, and
Yeah.
so they have the resources, it, So and that's the thing, because, and I'm not saying this is you, but I think what happens a lot, and this is my own personal opinion, and I'm not talking about workforce. I'm just saying in general. I think sometimes we can have a kind heart, and we're trying to do right by people, but I think sometimes we're doing more harm than good because
Mm,
when you're passing them along and trying to
mm,
say, well, and versus you dealing with the issues, you passing them along. And so when they're coming up and now that they've been passed along, their
hmm.
mentality is when they go out into the world is not going to pass them along. They're going to pass them
Amen.
straight. They're going to pass them straight to jail, in prison, because back on the back end, they were not dealt with from the standpoint of having enough of people really figuring out what's wrong with this and what are the true issues. Because
The
a
root
lot of
cause.
a lot of times, uh, places just consider them a nuisance. They
Right.
label versus really understanding what the issues and the problems are. I'm joking about Damien, but my point of it is that I say it like that, but a lot of times these issues and problems are never dealt with from the core in the understanding of it.
Right.
All they know
Right.
is he got issues, but
Right.
they don't get into the depth of it to understand why and how can we help. So they pass them
Right.
along, then they go out into the real world, and they were never dealt with when the opportunity was there. If somebody cared enough or to understand, it's kind of like sending a a cop to go deal with a person with a mental problem.
Right.
All the cop gonna do is either shoot him or tase him, or hit him in the head with because that's their training. They have nothing to do with mental health. All they know is I can tase them, I can shoot them, and that's their training. And
Yeah.
so they don't deal with stuff from the mental. They don't have it in here to take the time
Right.
to say, okay, all I know is that I can body slam you. I'm good.
Mm.
So
Well,
boom.
yeah, I do agree with you, and I will say, we get them on the back end, 11th and 12th grade. So one of the things I share with my students, and even when we have a parent teacher conference, because we have the parent come in acting as though this behavior just started with us, and we know it's like no. Number one is the reason your child is here, and sometimes they want to come certainly to work, but you know your child by 11th and 12th grade. You know if your child is going to.
No, 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 no. I wanted you to finish, but no, but this is what I'm gonna say. See, it's like when you now this is me, right? This is me, right? So when you say that, where I go is, how like a lot of times uh, I say people think that what they do is normal, and so they looking at you like, well, what's wrong with my child? So he always cuss people out. He's always angry. He's always swinging on people. What's the problem? You understand what I'm saying? Because
Hmm.
normal to them is like we look at them like you done heard me tell that story. I'm on the radio. The girl called in. Oh well, it's okay if I get hit, long as I get my licks in too. Everybody sitting
Yeah.
around the table looking like, what the what? Because that was normal to her to get knocked upside the head. But long as she can swing back on it, she good.
Right,
So
but to your
I'm not
point on the
saying
normalcy,
no. I'm not saying all the time, but I'm just saying some of that stuff they come in and
no.
that's normal to them.
Right, and to your point though, it is normal to get passed through the system. So, but when you get to 12th grade, it's no, do not pass go, do not collect $200. You don't get to walk across the stage, but some of them have that expectation. They think I will be absent from school, show up a week before report cards, let me have all my work, and then disappear for another 6 7 weeks. And we're like, no, that does not work at our school. And it's no more passing. It's nowhere else to pass you.
Mhm.
If you and that's why our students can, if they have a IEP, individual education program, plan, they can stay to 22. And we have had definitely some 20, 21 year olds, even 22. But at some point, like I go back to the parent, and we talk about it when you meet the parents, sometimes you understand they for parents to say they didn't know their child wasn't going to school. Well, we send attendance reports, you get the report cards, and where are you in this journey? So it's important for us to bring in that parent so we can try to nip it in the bud. And some
Well,
parents like act so shocked. They act so shocked that their child is not on track. You can be fourth year in high school, like you in most traditional schools, you get 6 credit hours a year. So 6 times 4 is 24 credit. We have some students who've come to us as juniors, or they think they're seniors because they're in their fourth year of high school and they may have 10 credits,
yeah,
or something like that. And they got to get to 24. So, and it's like this surprise,
yeah.
this surprise. So, yeah, it's,
Well, well,
it's,
well. As you say that, I just hope that when you say up to 22 and on and so forth, I just hope that workforce doesn't get to the point, and that's good. Now that's good, but I'm just saying, I just hope that they don't get to the point where there's like two lines. and they ask them like, well, what line are you in? Well, I'm in this line because I'm still able to go to workforce. But what's the other line for? Social Security. Okay. Okay, so I'm just saying, and that's good, but and you said what I said, and that is the expectations is because they've been passed along.
Right,
They've been
right.
passed along, and so that's what they have learned, and they
But
that's
you
how.
know why they get passed along too, right? Because if I have freshmen, I got to move them on because I got these eighth graders who are going to graduate who need to come on, aboard. And I can almost tell you when I look at if I hear GPA, oh, 1.0. Now you need a 2.0 to graduate. And to me, I've already learned really early. It doesn't mean a person is incapable. What that usually tells me, that person wasn't attending school. And then they get D's because what? A D is 1.0. So teachers and other in some of the traditional schools do not fail these students because guess what? Schools get graded.
Oh yeah,
And so
I
they
know. Well, that's my point of.
so
Well, that's my whole point of passing them along. I know, I get it.
yeah,
But see,
yeah.
like I was trying to say to you, because when I think about it now, when I look back on me in school, I didn't take it for what it was worth. I wasn't disciplined. It wasn't that I couldn't do the work. I wasn't disciplined for the work, and I didn't really grasp the A B C D F thing. I knew that I did not want to get an F. I knew that I didn't want to fail a class. But for my mindset and where I was, as long as I was not failing the class, I was okay.
Mm-hmm.
That was my mindset. So
Mm-hmm.
long as I didn't fail a class, getting A's and B's and all the other stuff didn't mean anything to me. It's like I was a kid who was trying to figure out like how can I get the best of this day and laugh, joke, and tease, and because that was my immaturity, but that was also my lack of discipline. So my
Mm.
so my immaturity, not understanding how the world works, not understanding how it works, but then I didn't have someone, and I don't mean it the way that it sounds. And I think now that I look back on it, that if I had the individual counseling, a tutoring, a teaching, I probably would have done better because I would have had a better grasp on the reality. See, I had no
Mm-hmm.
grasp on the reality. All I know
Mm-hmm.
was that I was told to go to school. That's where I was supposed to be. That's where I was. But I didn't understand the concept and the reality of why I was really going to school. I was there because everybody else was there. And getting a
Yeah.
good grade and all this other stuff meant really didn't mean that much to me because I was like, I'm here, I'm okay, I'm among friends, and I get lunch at 12 o'clock, and and we get recess. So what else is there to do?
Yeah.
you know?
It's you know what you talk about the reality of it, and I get it. Certainly times are a lot different with all this access to information and all of that. But I would say it's like we have two students who are brothers. They came last year, and their mother's a little sickly, but they didn't come. They may have come 2 or 3 times a month. So had a parent teacher conference, shared with the mom, they're not on track to graduate. They were thought they were going to graduate last year. Well, they're back, and the mom or somebody think they're graduating in December. It's like, no, they don't. I don't even think they have 10 credits. And then the mom wants like laptops or like the borrowed books. It's like, no, we're not an online school. We are a face to face. They have online schools. They have other schools if that's what you want. And because I guess they need to care for her to some extent. So we've talked to them about go to an online school if that's better fit your needs. But they came back and I mean, we've laid out there the academic plan, show the credits to GPA, and yet they're not in reality of you're. you're nowhere close to graduating. Nowhere close. And so people, if they've been in high school 3 or 4 years, they don't want to hear they have another year or two of high school. But we are honest and we do try to show them a path forward because we can get 8 credits a year at our school. Plus, if they do online classes, we've had some students sometimes get 10 and 12 credits in 1 year. They work really hard, to kind of make up for some of the formative years. But it's it's sometimes I don't. It's interesting though that people are not in reality, even though we're laying it out, and then when the parent is not in reality, that's a little even scarier because you would hope the parents get it
No,
and
well,
and and
well,
if
I
they
mean,
don't.
I can speak and say that my parents never saw my report card. Um, they just didn't.
Did you bring it home or was it like mailed to the house back then?
Oh no, 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 no. Wasn't nobody mailing nothing. You had to bring it home. No, no. Seriously, seriously. It came in a card. It came in this thing where you pulled it
Mhm.
out and da da da. And my brothers and sisters saw it, but none of the adults ever saw my report card. That's just the way it was. I don't know. I when I think about it, uh, I don't know. It seems so weird to me now that when I think as an adult and if I was a parent and how I would parent, I look back like, oh my God, I ain't had none of that. I'm serious. I'm serious. I'm like, oh my God, So it's just like, oh, okay. If I was a parent, this is how I would have done this. But that wasn't part of the equation. Not, and I don't mean it the way that it sounds, but I as a kid, I could tell you, I could shell some peas on Friday and Saturday night.
Mm.
I knew how to do that and go and plant in the garden and go and pick the eggs up in the morning and that kind of stuff. Yeah, but I nobody in my family that I was with daily just paid any attention to my report card. And
Well,
all I
mhm.
wanted to do was play. I had all this energy. Sitting in the classroom was like,
Well, they have names for that energy now. Back then, they didn't have names.
I had too much energy. As a matter of fact, I never forget this girl when I was in junior high school. She said to me, "Do you ever walk? Every time I see you, you just running." I was like, "Oh,
Yeah,
okay." She said, "You just run and
you
just run
know,
all over the place. You just running. Do you ever walk?" I was like, "Okay."
it's interesting though. I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, here we are down this journey. You would hope. I mean, we have made progress with identify, really bringing to light, mental health and identifying like ADHD or anxiety or whatever. If there's special accommodations, they're still, it's not perfected. People still fall through the cracks, but at least they're they've been building and putting resources and programs in place to try to help, hopefully really support our kids and our youth. But when we were coming through school, like I said, they had a little special yellow bus. It was about it. But like I said, we didn't have names for, like I said, all that energy, which they would probably call ADHD or something
Well,
like
well,
that
well,
now.
I found out that I did have that. I had dyslexia and ADHD. So yeah, I mean,
Okay,
I did find that out later on, like years later,
so
as an adult.
so you didn't get the help though you needed back then, and so and let me say this too that made me think. We have some parents who know their children have some needs and they don't reveal them, they don't disclose them because it's whatever they may think it's a shame or just like it's you don't talk about mental health in some cultures and things like that, and it's a disservice to that child because if you don't disclose it, how can we help them? I would tell you if I had this conversation with you within 3 weeks, I would be able to tell you. okay, something's a little off with this person, something a little bit off, and I don't know what it is, but I know something's off. And then eventually, we find out and it comes out because of the behavior or of my interaction with them, or the quality of their work or whatever. And the parents know. We've had students with, on a spectrum. It's like, how do you not disclose that? That's a disservice to your child. Or just other things, like some people on medication, they don't tell us, or their students or their children are not taking their meds. Well, we see that acted out. That's usually a meltdown or a cursing out or something at some point. And so I've learned that I look for patterns. I look at not only what you say, but what you
Hmm.
don't say. But I said that behavior seems a little different, and so let me just pay attention to this student. And then sooner or later, hopefully I get them to, share with me. But that's part of this, you asked about school starting back. That's why to me the first month is so challenging, because trying to learn, these 200 personalities, really see who I can serve and help. I'm trying to see who's going to let me in, at
Right.
some point. And it's a lot. And plus, just also get back in my rhythm. Get, they're getting back in their rhythm, and we're getting back in our rhythm. You think about, if you have an organization and everyone dispersed for the summer, now everyone's back. You
Hmm.
got personalities, you got a little stress going on with some people. And so it's not just the students, it's the staff have to get back, connected
Right.
and just in that routine. And like I said, today went relatively well, but there's, the little snafus and things. And is, I'm just, I'm working that I love what I do. It's my calling, it's my ministry, but I'm also trying to make sure I take care of myself, in the
Right.
sense of not being too stressed, or taking on, too much, bringing in administration earlier in the process. And just staying out of drama and any of that
Right.
stuff, so that I can hopefully be my best self to offer to my students. And that's important to me at this stage in my teaching. I'm not a 30-year educator. I'm
Right.
going on 10 years. I started this career later in life, but
Well,
I
you
started
well,
older.
if you probably was 30 years, you probably would be older.
Right, but I'm saying,
No, no,
like
no,
people,
no. I'm just saying you probably would be older.
right, of course.
But
But I'm
anyway,
saying, people get burned out, right? And I
I'm
don't want to
saying
experience that.
the wear and tear on you, you would be older. Is what I'm trying to tell you. If you had started some years ago, but we talked about the Olympics earlier. I did see on my phone that the Americans lost the appeal, so she lost a bronze medal in the gymnast.
Wow.
But they still gonna carry. It's not gonna go anywhere in the sense they're gonna appeal. They're gonna appeal, but I guarantee you it's not gonna go anywhere. But anyway, this is Miss Endon Perkins. She is a teacher over at Workforce Advantage Academy, a charter school, alternative school, and you're in our prayers. Today is the first day of school, and summer's over, over for
Womp
teachers and
womp.
students, and so on and so forth. So I enjoyed the Olympics. I hope you did too, and looking forward to the Winter Olympics. And football is here. Yay! All right,
Yeah.
go Bears, right?
Go Bears.
All right.
Yes. We got a new quarterback, and, hopefully some good team members. But thank you as always for the opportunity. And
Ooh.
certainly, I look forward to some updates. And you got to come out to the school and,
Right.
see what the wonderful work we're doing.
Okay, I just actually put up the wrong name. I was put it for questions, comments, and concerns. You can always hit us up with an email here at the journey 2020 at gmail.com. Thank you so very much for taking the time to come on the journey 2020. We appreciate you, and enjoy. And tell Coco I said hi.
I know he just came on.
All right. Well, Everybody, enjoy the rest of the week. You be blessed.